Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. Hello, Miss Alicia. Hello.
Hello, in reverse, sort of, because I'm the one knocking, or should
I know
be.
you're the one at my house rather
Yeah.
than me being at your house.
So I should have
Who
knocked.
cares?
You can knock if you want to.
We're hiding out in my dining room, y'all.
It's a
We're
perfect
hiding
room.
out. It's a crazy looking room. I'll make some pictures of some of the craziness and we'll put them on the Facebook page.
Yeah, we ought to go live.
It's after we do the recording, we'll go live and just do.
I don't.
Stand here and do the whole room. Well, me and Miss Alicia's here.
This is not. Well, we don't need to talk about every little thing in here, but this is a beautiful collection.
Well, it's a wild place, and the thing about this room and most of the houses is when people come here for the first time, they look around and they go, well, "This looks like a witch's house." Well,
Does it?
It is
I guess it does.
It is a witch's house, but I think it mostly looks like people that like to go to the junk store house
Well,
and find things irresistible. The platters, the brass chargers, that's Joe's collection. He's been collecting that now for a long, long time.
that's something that they don't make anymore.
Do they not?
No, not that I've ever seen. But
You haven't seen a new store you can buy new chargers? Well, I've never seen this. Because, if they were making new chargers, they'd be going to Dolly Parton. Oh, hell yes. There would. Because there is everything that is Dolly.
yeah,
There's one behind me at the grocery store yesterday, and I stopped to look at her T-shirt, which of course, that's me then looking at some woman's boobs, basically.
yeah.
But I was reading her T-shirt, and it was like classic Dolly, and it said something like "I love Dolly Parton" or whatever. And I said, "I'm sorry, I just wanted to read your T-shirt," and she puffed her chest out like this and went, "I just love Dolly Parton." And I said, "Yeah, me too. I'm a fan."
Who
doesn't?
I mean, you heard about her getting the Oscar.
Yes. Oh, she's got it. Isn't she a goat now? The greatest
Yes.
of all time.
Yes, well, she was before that,
Oh,
but yeah,
yes.
now it's official, I think. And I don't know if it was all of her roles or just one in particular, but I've never seen Steel Magnolias, and I'm told that was a fabulous.
Well, Steel Magnolias, there is a lot to be said for Steel Magnolias unless you happen to live in the South.
Oh,
Because then it's like, oh, that stereotype. Oh,
boy.
that Southern Belle stereotype. Oh, that. So, I get it. It's what people think Southerners are. And the accents are just painful to listen to.
okay.
Well, I don't know about that. Oh.
How did Dolly stand it?
Well, 'cause she's good-natured and big-hearted, and she just did her part. You know how Dolly is. She just did her part.
Yeah.
Cheerfully.
Yeah.
I assume if she is a diva, I've never heard that.
I
ever.
haven't either, and my brother has worked over there for a few years now, and he has nothing
I
but
believe
good
you
things
mean
to
your
say.
nephew.
My
your
nephew,
little nephew.
my brother's son. That's what I
Yes.
meant. Yeah.
Your little nephew.
Mm-hmm. My little nephew, who's almost 30.
How do these youngins all get so old?
I know, and I still look so young. And
Both of us, we
Yeah,
are so
what can we
young
say?
and fetching.
fetching.
And they are, getting old. They're catching. I think it was Joe's mother used to say, "You're catching up to us."
Yeah, you're catching up to us. There is a place, I think, in aging where you get there and you stay there for a while.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's where I am right now. And good, I'm very comfortable here.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that. I had a term that Ilsa asked me to explain,
Mm-hmm.
and it is day law. Day law.
A law.
Yeah.
And I've also heard it as a law.
A law.
A
I've
law,
heard
day
probably.
law.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have heard both, I think. But I've heard day law more than a law, and for those of you who don't know, it could be translated from they Lord.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
where it came
It's
from?
a way
they
of not
Lord?
taking the Lord's name in vain. A law.
Ah.
So law takes the place of Lord.
Okay.
Though I can't imagine that the Almighty would care if some little old woman said, "Hey, Lord." or Lord of mercy.
It just depends on which side of the Bible they're asking that question of. 'Cause one of them would and one of them wouldn't. You know, one would say that's in vain, and one might not say that. So,
Right.
you know.
We ain't gonna get in a conversation
No.
about taking the Lord's name in vain when
No.
you're blowing up somebody else's city.
That's it. Well, you know, I almost did it today in traffic.
Oh, I bet.
Man, somebody almost hit me, came up behind me, and I was like, stop, 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 stop. You know, stop. And I have that bumper sticker. I swear it helps. I swear it does. Because it gets their attention, I think, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And I'm there tapping the brakes
Mm-hmm.
and preparing to, if I have to, but I'm in traffic. So,
Right.
you
There's
know.
not much you can do.
So he finally stopped, and then he was like, you know, flopping his arms at me.
And one of these days, it's going to be like that thing during COVID when you went in the store and somebody had some words to say to you. One of these days, that's going to happen to me, and I'm just going to put the car in the park. I'm going to hit my four-way flashers, and I'm going to get out with the shillelagh, and I'm going to head towards the car like, buddy, you better have a gun with you, because I'm taking out your headlights, and then it's going to be your windshield. And then I'm out of here before you can even think to dial 911.
Well,
And one of these days, I tell you, that's going to happen.
this was a big truck. It had
With a big stupid in it.
It had a big stupid man in it. It had a flag hanging from the backside of it.
Oh, was it a the blue flag?
I don't know. I couldn't
Yeah.
quite tell. I just saw something, so I could see that there was a flag there, and you could tell that this person had made it louder on purpose, and you could tell that there was some sort of weird lighting system that I wasn't on because it was daytime. And I just thought, I really did. I thought, I'm going to jam these brakes on. And then I thought, no, I don't want to hurt myself. I'm worth more than that. But it was the thought was, I'm going to make that guy scare the shit out of that guy. But, you know.
And here's the thing. If you have to go to all that trouble to prove your manhood, then there's something you're missing, and it's between your legs.
You may not be missing it, but it may not exactly.
It's so small you can't hardly see it.
It doesn't sparkle and please. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
that's exactly what I'm saying. If it was, I mean, if you are well endowed, you walk through the world like, yeah, I ain't got no worries. It's all good. Calm, happy. It's all good.
That's because it's 2025. If it was 1600 and you were well endowed, you would walk through the world knowing that you were a peasant.
Well, or you would be well endowed, and on top of that, you'd have a big old cod piece to advertise the fact. Look right here, ladies.
Yeah.
Look right here.
They were usually tradesmen that learned a different trade as time went on, from what I understand, depending on the century, of course. But it was considered very vulgar to have a big penis back then.
How very sad.
All royalty had the
peasants
dainty
had
ones.
those. And no wonder royalty couldn't breed very well.
Well, they wanted a dainty penis.
But
A dainty one.
Let's just be honest. It ain't the size of the wand; it's the magic in it.
It ain't the size of the pencil. It's the way you write your name.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
I knew
How
it.
did we get on this?
I don't know.
I
but
mean, it is almost midsummer. I guess we're thinking about
guess.
midsummer matters.
well, I've just got on to Facebook today, and I should not, is what it is, because it makes me very sassy
Yeah.
sometimes, and it just I get in this kind of smart aleck mood. It's the best I can go to describe it. I feel like I've got a quick smart ass answer for everything I see, and I see some good stuff though.
Yeah, same. Today was not my smart ass day though, because of I-40, what had happened in the gorge. And that, I don't want to say it triggered me, because triggered I don't even know what that means anymore. People use it all the time. Oh, well, you said triggered me. Oh, I saw this thing, it triggered me. But to see that flood rolling across the gorge like
Again.
and to see the landslides again, and to see those vehicles trapped in that water again. But I understand from several sources that they got everybody out safe, that nobody got hurt and nobody died. But and then I have to always laugh at the DOT. Now, the North Carolina DOT is just like every other DOT in the country. They are a fiefdom. They get more money than anybody else, and nobody tells them what the hell to do.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth of it. And the idea of the North Carolina DOT and the Tennessee DOT meeting there, and like, well, I believe it's because y'all, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's just crap, because, it's because y'all, blah, blah, blah. And I would love to see that. I'd love to see that big old fight, but what did I hear today? Oh, they probably will have one lane open by this evening. And I said, have you seen the videos of that? I tell you, somebody's never driving through that damn gorge again, and that is Miss Byron Ballard.
So I talked to someone who owned a company for decades and then retired the company. And what they did was prepared big areas of land for interstates and roads in that area. And what I was told was interesting, because it was, well, use your common sense. What do you mean? Well, we've had a flood, a hurricane that took 40% of the ground covering in places, and some places, so there's nothing to hold some of it down. We've had seismic activity several times along that ridge. And on top of that, we have literally hundreds of thousands of vehicles every 24 hours, including a major vein of transport with these big heavy vehicles.
Yep.
That's all vibration.
All vibration.
So at some point, don't you think some of those hills are going to shift a little bit? Especially if they've got a lot of water pouring on them.
And especially if, here's my conspiracy theory that actually isn't a conspiracy theory, is that when they were figuring out how they were going to cut 40 through that gorge, scientists said, this is how you're going to do it. And they laid it out and said, this is going to be the safest way to do it. Now, it's going to cost you more money, and it's going to take a little bit longer, but this is the only way you're going to get traffic through this gorge. And the powers that be went, oh, no. I'm pretty sure that, deadbeat Robin Jones over here, he's got a better plan because he's my cousin. And he owns some land up there. So I'm pretty sure we can do that a lot cheaper and a lot faster. And can't you just imagine the engineers just going, well, okay, but, on your head be it. So I've heard that a lot.
It's supposed to have been an open bidding process back then.
Imagine. Anyway, look, we went straight from thinking about sex to thinking about corruption and graft and government.
Grift.
Golly, it's your usual episode of the Weird Mountain Gals.
Is it my brain bouncing around that does that to you, or is it just?
It's just where we are. When we're together, we're like, I don't know. I wish I did.
Well, I'm not complaining.
No,
it could be worse.
Y'all aren't complaining, but if you did complain, I don't know what we would do about it.
We'd cry, probably.
It's not like, we used to at least pretend we had a pre-show where we talk about, what do you want to talk about today? Well, let's talk about harvest. Let's talk about strawberries. We don't even pretend no more. We just kind of get to it, and here we are.
Yeah, and that was a Helene thing.
Yes, it was a Helene.
Helene changed us, fundamentally changed us from the ground up. And we're just going to be different. We may not be used to it for the rest of our lives, but we're just going to be different. I think
we're going to be different forever.
Everybody I know is.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's bad or good. I just know that it is.
It is what it is. can I give you some thoughts about the Revelator deck?
Well, we each have one. Let's just pull them out.
My thought is, you said something a couple of weeks ago, and I was thinking about it. And I started looking it up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this whole business of people who order a deck of cards, make a copy of them, and resell them all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And there's several places that you can go to online that have apps, or they take out ads on the Book of Faces or something. You can order a deck of cards that'll come to you from some China or something. And it won't have an instruction manual with it.
Yeah, that is true.
If you see that, it's a dead giveaway that it is a copied deck.
Counterfeit.
Because what happens is they get the cards, they reprint them, repackage them, but they can't translate the books for whatever reason. They don't. It'd
be too expensive. That would add too much expense to the whole thing.
I guess if you bother to try and look up the instructions or the manual or whatever you want to call it, the key, I guess.
The key, yep.
It will take you to a place that has never seen the English language. And eventually you can find a weird link and you can get a PDF of the booklet.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a lot of, scurrying to do it. So,
and the thing is, a lot of those are done by people who are not witches.
right.
So with every one of these decks, when it goes out, it's going to have some spell work in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly that is spell work that whoever is using this deck has clarity and works towards healing and wholeness. And then the other piece of it over here is going to be, you copy this deck for your own purposes and in order for you to make money, and you are going to regret that till the end of your... And I bet you crowed all that out. Times three.
Times three. Yeah.
So
I'm good with that.
yeah, that's the other thing, because I mean, we know that these are likely to be bootlegged, and
Yeah.
you'll be able to get them for $5 at the Dollar General.
Well, see, now that's where my brain went, okay?
Yeah.
Because the other thing I know is that this is not just a money venture for you and me. That there's a reason these cards are out there, and just like I've said before, people will understand it when they get a deck, if they're meant to have a deck, that is.
Yep.
This is not what you think. These cards are not what you think they are.
Just like you said at the beginning of this podcast, 297 episodes ago, we are not who you think we are.
Right, and this deck is not what people think it is. And I frankly, honestly, don't want everybody getting their hands on it because they're not meant for it, period, end of sentence.
Yep.
And so here's my proposal is that we never barcode this. Unless the situation changes and there's bootlegs everywhere or something, then we can barcode it and sell it to Tuesday morning or something.
Except Tuesday morning's out of business.
Oh,
Other than that, yes.
Or some other place like that, Hot Topic or something. The Firefox Museum. Wherever. But, because I really do feel like, especially with this first run being just a couple of hundred card decks, I think we need to put them in the right hands ourselves.
I think that's going to be easy to do since we did that little video. And if y'all haven't seen the video, that's it's on my page, is it?
Yeah, and on the Weirdlings page.
And on the Weirdlings page.
And the Weird Mountain Gals page.
Yep, so go on and see that on Facebook. We just couldn't stop talking over at Raven and Crown on Tuesday. And people have already been, in that video, people would leave a note saying, I really want this deck, I really want this deck. So I think the first printing of this deck is probably all going to go to people we know.
Yep.
And it's going to go with our blessing.
And our signature.
Yep, and our signature on it.
That way people will know that this is, every bit of these cards are from Appalachia.
Yeah, and from us.
From the elderberry. Yeah, well, and from our dead relatives.
Yeah, our ancestors.
card. That's how I think of them as my dead relatives.
Dead relatives. It's a little less poetic than my ancestors, but yeah, I get it. We're just a little bit giddy because it feels like this thing is actually going to happen. And we've been sitting on it for so long.
Yep. And it, like I said, it feels like this first run of them for sure need to go into certain hands, and we may not know whose hands they go into yet.
I think we will.
Yeah, we will.
I think we're going to know every set of hands this first printing goes into.
That I wouldn't have a problem if they were underneath the cash register at these stores where somebody had the right person would know to ask for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So there you go.
Now, y'all, we are. I say y'all. I don't know if she's going to cut all this out or not, but we are having this printed not in China or Indonesia or anywhere else. We're having printed right down the road at a local printing shop.
And happy about it.
And we're very happy about it. And they have worked with us, and they've been very, very helpful and very patient with us as we figured out what the process needed to be. We walked in there when we had the deck printed. We walked in there with a tarot card, and we said, we want it this weight of paper, we want it this kind of glossy, and we want it exactly this size. And they just,
boom.
They just did it.
Yep.
They did it.
And we sent them the artwork, and they were just fine.
Yeah.
They really have been very good to work with.
So I'm sure that there are places that we could have sent it off to and probably paid less for it, but it is worth it to us to invest in our local community and people that we know and trust pretty much. I mean, as much as you trust anybody. I'm not very trusting. And we had a local lady that sewed the patches. We got the fabric at local foam and fabric down in Fletcher, North Carolina.
Where I've been going since I was very young.
Exactly. So this is just, and I'm cutting the little pieces of elderberry wood in the backyard.
Yeah.
It don't get any more local than this deck
Or
of cards.
Appalachian. It doesn't. And think about it this way. And this is a QVC point on it. If I was a QVC salesman, do you even know what that means?
I only know because my daughter refused to sleep when she was little. Oh. And the only thing, because that was 33 years ago.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was on TV at 3 o'clock in the morning then
was QVC.
So I saw a lot of big old gaudy rings and necklaces and pocketbooks. Yeah.
Well, those people made an impression on me too, and I don't know why. I would have been watching. I really don't know, but
you were not nursing a cranky baby.
No, maybe I was one. Who knows?
Wishing for a ham sandwich.
No, but if I was a QVC salesman, what I would do is point out that if you're looking for a good way to help out our economy after the hurricane, this is a way that is what I would consider to be a win-win. But again, if this is not calling to you strongly, then you need to walk away for a little while.
Absolutely, and it helps. I mean, we could be all, well, I mean, it helps my economy and Alicia's economy. You buy some of these, but the reality is we talk a lot about relocalizing everything you can localize and how important it is to keep money in a local economy, and we have done that again and again with this deck of cards. We really have. The only thing that is not 100% local is some of the fabric that the cards are wrapped in, and I'm not going to tell you what that is because it's special. Or maybe we already have said it, I don't know. But those have come from somewhere else.
Yeah, but not far.
No, not far.
No, not far. I mean, so there's the QVC sales pitch on it. But I don't want to sales pitch it because I really feel like that would be the wrong thing to do.
No, these cards are going to appeal to a certain kind of person. And the people that get them and get them, they're gonna have a tool that's gonna work for them forever.
They're not called the Revelator for no reason.
No, they are not. They are not.
That's the thing. So I'm kind of excited because as these are coming out, we're kind of coming out of our little shell, or at least I am, and we're dipping our toe into the world of video and potentially TikTok. And, we've got a Pinterest page. Did y'all know?
Oh, sweet Jesus, you and that Pinterest page.
I like the Pinterest.
I know. She loves Pinterest. I've got lots of friends that love Pinterest. That just feels like a big old time waster.
Well,
for Mama.
Pinterest is a file cabinet.
It feels like a hole that I would fall down in,
Yes.
and I'd be like, oh.
It can be. Pinterest is a file cabinet for me of ideas.
Yeah.
And put this there, and I can remember it. I've got 41. My personal page has got something like 41 categories. It goes everything from herbal remedies to colorful rooms, etc., etc. And the Weird Mountain Gals page has got things that are eccentrically our kind of things, if that makes any sense.
It does. Eccentric also always makes sense.
Yeah.
Always.
So
With us, it does.
Yeah. So back to the cards. Let's. Why don't you pull a card and
All right.
tell me all
I
about it?
shuffled them all up. Let's see what we got. Ooh, it is Bloodroot reversed. So y'all know what Bloodroot is. I do this when I'm reading tarot too with clients. I'll say, now Bloodroot upright. Bloodroot is you make a tincture from that, and it will pull away tissue that should not be on you. Like it's good for warts, it's good for skin tags, and it takes that tissue that has been that is not your healthiest tissue, and it burns it away. Basically, it's like a slow acting. When you go to the dermatologist, and they burn something off you, and it's that, but it's a little more slow acting than that. So if it's upright, it would be you have some things you need to get shed of, and you need to find the ways to do that. Now we've got it reversed, which means there are things that you need to get shed of that you are not having any luck getting rid of.
Yeah.
So you need to spend a little more time thinking about how to bring yourself into line.
Right. Get balance
and
back.
get some balance and equilibrium back. And to get rid of those things that are, I say to clients all the time, you are walking through the world like Jacob Marley in A Christmas Carol. You got chains and big metal boxes. So it's about letting all that stuff, letting some stuff go. And God, if I have said that once, I have said that 1,000 times. Let some stuff go.
You have, actually.
And I say it to me all the time.
I
look in the mirror, brushing my teeth, saying, would you just let that go?
Yeah.
My feelings got hurt yesterday. So I was walking through the world like, whoa, boy, I'm something else. People sending me, that thing I was at in Orlando, sending me notes saying, oh, it was just the best, that class, that ritual, I'm like walking on air like, oh, I'm all that, I'm all that. And then somebody hurt my feelings, and it was such a minuscule, pissy little thing, and it was something I've been expecting now for about 6 months. And then it came, and then I was like, oh. And then I looked in the mirror at myself, and I went, you were expecting this. It is not a big deal. How about you let it go?
Okay.
Let it go.
And then did you feel better afterwards?
I did, because I let it go. Yep. Yeah. It was like, that was not meant to hurt my feelings. You're just being a little precious little baby.
Yeah, but that's something that so many people will never, ever, ever get. And it's okay. It is what it is.
I don't know that it's okay or not okay, but it's just a something in the world. But I'm bad for that. Getting my feelings hurt, and it just ruins my whole day. And but I've also been getting my feelings hurt for about 69 years, so it's way past time that I figured out. Oh, that's not a big thing. That's just your feelings got hurt. You felt a little slighted.
What would Dolly say?
Dolly'd sing a song about it. So today, this sweet woman, Liz, came to interview me. And we were at the temple. And we were talking about what the temple had done during Helene and was still doing. And la, la, la. And then she said something I've never heard the like. She said, and if you don't mind, would you mind singing something? Because I just love your voice. And I went, So I told her the one song that we were singing, that we're going to sing Sunday at our midsummer ritual. And I said, and she said, what made her like my voice so much was at Samhain last year, I sang Hoof and Horn. And she just thought that was so beautiful. And so she said, would you sing those two? And I said, yeah, okay. Well, the first one, which is the Greenwood Tree, it starts very low and it gets very high. So for me, because I don't have big long range, I got to hit it exactly right. Or end up squeaking up there. Or you can't hear the last note here. So I went through it once, and I did not hit the right note. So we got the end, and I was like, I said, let me try that again. I need to start in a different place.
Thank you.
And then I sang, and so that was okay. And then I sang Hoof and Horn. And that one, I love to sing that song, and that was a lot of fun. But I found myself doing like those old ballad singers. So I'm just sitting in a chair with both my legs crossed and just kind of closed my eyes and just started singing. And then I realized I was a little swaying a little bit. And I thought, oh, I guess that stuff just doesn't die, does it?
I got slightly criticized for that at one point. Why do you swing your head? Why do you move like this, rock back and forth? I'm like, well, I don't know.
It's just the way I do.
It is. Well, you can't do that in a choral setting, but if you're just, which I was
true.
Not in for that,
go.
But anyway, so that was an interesting card pull.
I thought it was, and we also did not say who that card was for. So if that is a card for us as the Weird Mountain Gals, then there is still some stuff we need to get rid of. Or some stuff we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, and we need to not go to that party. I have no idea what that means, but...
Well, I am going to a party on Saturday. It is my great niece's birthday.
Well, now that's a different thing.
I know. She sent me a message today. She just graduated high school. She sent me a message today saying, "Hey, Myra, you want to come to my birthday on Saturday?" And I was like, "What time? Where is it?" So we're going to go down. They live down near Greenville. We're going to go down on Saturday.
That sounds like fun, actually.
And I just got a little note from her grandma, from my sister-in-law, saying, well, bring your bathing suits when you come. We'll get in the pool. And I thought, Lord of mercy, a Ballard on in a pool.
That's
about crazy.
That? Well,
it doesn't blow up or isn't one of those aluminum things with the plastic inside.
And he is the fella that owned that horse that I told you was like the third oldest horse in the country.
Yeah.
When it passed away, and that he loved that horse so much. And I remember riding that horse too. He was a big old thing, and I think his name was Hemorrhoid. And
he does sound like we need to write a song about him.
Oh, you could. He never met a stranger. Never, not once did he ever meet a stranger. He would just meet anybody he wanted. And it was like a magic trick, really, because he was impressed with what was this, Smokey and the Bandit movie? And Burt Reynolds was in it.
Yeah.
And he called him up one night at his restaurant in Atlanta and just said, let me speak to that Burt. And they thought that it was a friend of Burt's, and he got on the phone with him and they became friends. They became friends.
I love that.
Not only did they become friends, but Bert actually sent business to him or us or the county or whatever you want to say when they sent some movie business there.
Huh.
Do you remember the movie Nell?
I do.
Well, where do you think it was filmed?
Oh, and that was because of the Burt Reynolds connection?
Yeah, it was filmed right there on Massey Branch.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and that lake was Lake Santilla. It's the same snaky lake that I used to play in and around and all of that. My mom and dad grew up around it. My mom especially, since she was born right there on Massey Branch. And so he taught them all what pinto beans and cornbread tasted like. That was the thing I remember about that movie, was hearing the stories about how Linda, his wife, would cook up these big batches of pinto beans and cornbread and stuff, and people from the movie would come with a plate to get some, and they just fed them and taught them all about stuff like that, and just became friends. But you see, he never met a stranger.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that happens with some people.
Well, some people, they're temperamentally set to not know strangers and to not be afraid and all of that. Yeah, my daddy was like that. Glad-handed.
Yeah.
He'd have been a good politician.
Yeah.
He wasn't such a skirt chaser. Anyway.
I get that. But I remember Johnny Reed he would teach me that way to be. I just assumed that I was welcome anywhere.
Yeah, me too.
And I would walk into his house and not even tell him I was coming. I would just walk on in there, and I assumed that the room all the way to the back was mine. Because they told me anytime I came
that was your room.
That was my room. I assumed it was. It was the same way with his mom and dad who lived down there. It was the same way up and down Massey Branch, excuse me. They call it Branch. And I call it Branch.
We have lost a lot of that native accent, both of us. I'm trying to get it back because I miss it, because I love the way it sounds. But
I know.
Every once in a while I'll say something and I go, oh, that didn't sound right.
I've never said Branch. And so I always said Branch.
Yeah.
So for me, that's more normal than Branch. But I've heard it. I've heard that deep Southern accent, and what I was Yellow Creek. There's a Yellow Creek accent.
Yellow Root.
That's a neighborhood out there in Graham County, and it's got a specific accent. And if you come from Stecoa, that was a specific accent, but mostly it was just a lot of long E.
Yeah.
You remember that, and double A's, and stuff like that when you're talking and stuff. So yeah.
Well, I was telling you, I was listening to an old Dolly song, and in it she said "here."
Here, yeah.
And I grew up with neighbors that said "here," but my family didn't say it; they said "here." So when I hear that, it takes me right back to those neighbors who were. I mean, they'd been country people a lot longer than my mother had, for sure. My mother was a city woman.
My mom said here, or says here.
Yeah. Here.
Yeah.
Come in here. Yeah, I love this accent, and it is different all over. You know, Kentucky's a little bit different, and West Virginia's accent is a little bit different.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For my buddy Renee, when we get together, it just becomes old home week with all the. We both get really pretty deep into the mountain dialect.
Do you?
Oh,
it's hard. It's hard for me to. It's hard for me to not code switch.
Yeah, me too.
It's hard for me not to. I don't do it consciously. I just, whenever, I don't know, maybe I'm a mimic or something, but.
Well, I know one reason I do it, and it may not be a conscious thing, is that I've tried to have my native accent when I'm teaching outside the region, only to have people say they couldn't understand me. So I go back to my fairly standard American English. I still have a little bit of accent, but because people understand it better, and I don't have to stop what I'm doing and go, oh, let me explain how that came into the culture, and that's a thing from Ulster Irish and blah, blah, blah. They don't need to hear all that. They just couldn't understand what the hell I was saying.
Well, in another 5 years or less, there'll be a floating bubble above your head, and it'll be the closed captioning. And
it ain't gonna happen to me.
You don't think so?
No.
You won't have an AI with you at all times?
I will not, if I can help. I mean, I have an AI with me now because today I posted something about, Sunday when y'all come to the Mother Grove Goddess Temple event, make sure and bring food, because we're going to share food together. But unless you are bringing a cooler with ice in it, don't bring nothing with mayonnaise, because it's going to be hot as hell, and we ain't got no refrigeration. So I said that, and then underneath it is, what is Mother Girl Goddess Temple? Where is Mother Girl? And so I clicked on that to say, what the heck are they saying? Oh, they got it right. AI knows who we are. And they were very, very nice about it, very pleasant.
Well, and the thing is they have known.
Of course.
I mean,
of course.
That's what people who are just now getting nervous about AI. Okay, good. You had a few extra years there that I didn't.
Of comfort, yeah.
So, but
Nice.
it's been here for a while, folks, and it'll be here, and so we might need to know how to make our peace with it at some point. And I am not advising that means you let them come take over and do all your hard lifting.
Well,
intellectually.
There was a thing today that came through my socials. Now, I'm not going to say come through my socials. They came through my socials. And it was from my friend Kate Laity, basically saying there was just a study that's been released saying that for students who use Chat GPT and all that other stuff, that they've measured their brains, and there's sections of the brains that just don't work anymore. They don't have to work anymore because they don't learn. They just put it into a slot somewhere.
A digital file cabinet.
Yeah, and then out comes a thing, and they didn't have to learn it. They didn't. Not only, I guess it's one thing to get AI to write your paper when you have some idea of what you're writing about. But if you basically are just saying, well, I'm in a Philosophy 101 class, and I'm interested in Schopenhauer, would you write me a 3-page paper on Schopenhauer? And then you never have to learn it.
Wow. Yeah.
So, again, Wall-E.
Well,
we all saw the damn movie, Wall-E.
And it's easy to go there. Like I said last week, was it last week or week before last that they did that study, and they found out that by the time you graduated high school, you had seen 21,000 hours worth of, and of course it's going to change the way your brain operates. I can kind of hear it now. Isn't that common sense too? I-40 broke under the weight of all that vibration, and maybe our brains just broke under
all that, and it's possible.
Just give in. Is what it is. It's easy.
It is easier, and we are butt ass lazy.
We're intellectually lazy.
We're always lazy. We're the fattest people on the planet.
Well, that's true.
So we don't think, we don't eat right, we don't get any exercise.
You're not kidding about the don't eat right part.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready, as I've mentioned to you before. I'm making that dive into Ancestor.com.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. And I want to talk to him and get some of the family scoop, because it's my understanding that, and I know because I've met them, we've got a lot of characters in my family that are kind of larger than life.
Yeah.
And that's all right.
That's kind of who we are. It's kind of an Appalachian thing, really.
I truly believe that. I do.
That's why the whole thing about Appalachian storytelling is such a thing, because, and I see these professional tellers, and I think, well, that's good, but to be honest, everybody in my family is a storyteller, including me. But we don't do, then she come down the road. We don't do that kind of storytelling. We just tell, well, here's the thing, and we wave our arms around and all that stuff. So, I don't know, maybe we ain't proper storytellers.
Well, who cares?
Nobody. Nobody on earth cares.
So, for those of y'all who may not be into the cards, I respect that. If you own up to it and you're not good for the cards right now, that's no problem.
No,
if you want to help us, part of the way that you could really help us out would be to share some links. If you feel like it, if you're not too, embarrassed to be seen with a couple of weird gals, we can always
Weird
use
mountain
that.
gals.
Yeah. Weird mountain gals, yeah. Or just check us out on a different place every now and then. For instance, we're going to get onto YouTube. We're there now. You can get all our episodes now, but what we haven't been doing that we have the intention to do is go live on YouTube. I don't know that we have anybody who would come and see us right now if we did. So if y'all would be interested in, if you use YouTube more than you use Facebook or something else for your podcast or for your content, let us know. And if you use TikTok, wait a minute.
She can't even say it. That's how scared we are of TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
It's like, oh, YouTube. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I've got stuff on YouTube already. All right, yeah. And then it's like, TikTok. But I think there were some sweet young'uns out at the Appalachian Studies Conference. Not this year, but last year. And they were like, Byron, you got to get on TikTok because we need to hear from people like you.
I think so.
Grown-ups on TikTok. We need to hear that. And I was like, oh, honey, TikTok's for young'uns. No, we need. So I think we are sooner or later going to get on TikTok, and we know some of y'all are on TikTok already.
Yeah, we have an account, so we're just going to change it around.
I even have it on my phone now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love it, and I don't go there and look at anything because, boy, talk about a time suck.
Yeah.
That's
why
you get time suck.
That's why you get stuff done, is because you do not let yourself go down that digital primrose path.
And I've got a couple of people I follow in the reels. And I just see the reels on Facebook. I don't go to TikTok for them or YouTube or any of that.
Smart.
If it pops up in and sometimes we pop up in the reels on Facebook, and I'll go, oh, that's our latest episode. Well, I think I'll go ahead and put that on Facebook.
And every time you do, it's like, it boosts us.
Well, that's good, because I can't figure out, every time I try to just, I'm listening to it on podcast, let me just put that on Facebook. The link doesn't work. So, I don't know. It's just me and links are not good. I don't know what it is.
Who knows?
But boy, that direct reel thing usually does work. So, we're just trying to get out there a little bit differently than we have been.
Yeah.
But we're not different.
We're not.
Except that we both feel a little bit better and have more energy.
Yeah. And we feel like the time is drawing nigh, as they say,
Well, and also, we're terribly aware that we are within a week of 9 months since Helene. 9 months. We could have had a damn baby by now. Yeah, and there's still people who are hurting, who still got trees. Well, we got a tree down at Wyrd Mountain that it hadn't been cut up yet. But it is. I've arranged for that to happen.
We've seen people who have had mental disorders that have grown and blossomed because of the hurricane.
Absolutely.
That they might not have ever had it exacerbated, but then that came along and, it just wiped them out of their spoons.
Well, and we've had this thing with I-40 in the gorge, and to see those videos has been hard. It's been hard.
That's what I was going to say and forgot was what I also heard from this person I spoke to about 40 was that it was a terrible night, not just because of what happened on 40, but because of all of the accidents afterwards from people who were taking these alternate routes, and they were driving off the side of the damn mountains and stuff in the curves. And hitting each other and all of that mess.
Have we ever mentioned how stupid people can be?
Oh.
No, we never have we, on the show?
I guess not. No, we need to let y'all know that we have this opinion.
That sometimes people are really stupid.
Just stupid as hell.
Though I have to say, that when I went out to Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, when was that, a month ago, I guess, for Puff, Pagan Unity Festival. We went 25 towards the Newport and got then 81 to 40. And that was beautiful going out because it was during the day and it's a beautiful drive. I mean, it's, a 2-lane and then a 4-lane for a while and then a 2-lane. And we ended up in Greenville, Tennessee, which is also a lovely little town if you've never been there. But coming back, was night, and it was raining.
Hmm.
And 25 at night in the rain is a little tricky. I mean, it's not the tail of the dragon, but it's close. A lot of switchbacks, and it was not even as comfortable as the gorge, because I loved to drive the gorge.
I do too.
I loved to drive the gorge when I used to do that, because it's so beautiful. And as long as you're careful, the traffic is a little crazy, but as long as you're careful, the drive itself is so beautiful. And even at night in the dark, in the rain, it was not, in its heyday, in its glory days, it was not hard. But some of these alternate routes, the reason we have 40 going through the gorge is some of these alternate routes are pretty damn squirrely.
Yep, for sure.
And if you're not used to driving on these roads, like I am and you are, because we've been driving on squirrely little roads our whole lives,
Mm-hmm.
but if you are here from a place that is flat, where the roads are straight, it's gonna be a little unnerving for you.
Well, I've driven here all my life, and I still respect it.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen things on the road and been involved in my own wrecks and stuff. And I'm telling you, these roads will kill you, and then they'll hide you off the side of the mountain.
Yeah, that's really true.
So I remember stories through the years.
Yeah.
Of bodies being found after a few months of being gone because they went down in the gorge and stuff. And I'm not just making that up. That's really what we lived with growing up, was hearing that.
And it's not just the gorge. I mean, there are plenty of windy, steep roads.
Yeah.
It used to terrify my mother because she didn't drive, so she was sitting in the passenger seat. And as you were going out some of these roads, you could look straight down past the guardrail, and it just went straight down the mountain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so that scared her. And then she was a little bit claustrophobic. So coming back the other way, and it's just a sheer mountain on the other side. And she never did feel comfortable. I mean, she didn't have to drive, so I guess she could have closed her eyes. But
I never thought of it that way. Now maybe I will.
Yeah, neither way was good for her.
Wow.
But I love driving these roads, but like you, I'm respectful and I'm careful.
Yeah.
Now that I'm no longer a reckless teenager, let me say that.
Yes.
I no longer drive like a lunatic on these roads. I drive sensibly.
You have to. There's a lot of other people here.
Yes.
That weren't here in the beginning.
That weren't here when I was 17? Probably not.
Do you remember when people would race on Patton Avenue? Because it was like one of the only places around that was flat and straight enough to get in a good quarter mile.
I also remember and participated in people racing on Pisgah Highway.
Oh, yes.
Which is not straight.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's straighter now.
Is that
but back then
151? Yeah. No, I never participated or saw that, but I do know that there was a place there.
Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Now, in Robbinsville, they would think nothing about driving to Bryson City or Silva or Andrews to go to these dirt tracks.
Yeah.
And the dirt tracks, it was anything goes, and I mean that most sincerely. Anything would go, and I have never seen anything like that in my life since then. It was crazy. Country people can be insane.
Bulletproof, because I think we think we're bulletproof.
Yeah.
Redneck bulletproof. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're not actually bulletproof. What we are is grateful that y'all have stuck with us this far in the episode. While we ramble just a teeny little bit.
We're just doing a little rambling.
We're getting ready to do a go live, I think. And we should do it on Facebook, the Book of Faces. Mm-hmm. And then I'm probably going to make like a baby and head out.
Yeah, you've got an hour and 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So that'd be enough.
That's the last thing I did want to tell you. You know how I gave everybody a trigger warning. And then you heard it and you were like, well, it wasn't that bad. I realized that it was because I cut out well over almost half of what we said. And it was so fresh on my mind. In my mind, we were still saying it. And I was like, no, they can't hear this. No, they can't hear this other thing. Oh, God, no, on this part. We got bad. We got
Well,
really down and dirty and bad.
We do, and it's funny to go back now and listen to stuff a year ago when we were lighthearted and we were just different people, and it was a different podcast. So again, we are so grateful to y'all. You have been our ride or dies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we if things are gonna change, we are coming up on our 300th episode very soon. And that's gonna, I mean, there's just a lot of change happening, and all of it at this point is good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock on wood for that, but yeah, we've got some changes coming, and we're gonna be probably doing more video with the podcast, so you're gonna get to see our shiny little faces.
Boy, man.
Golly.
I'm going to try and get used to it. I don't know if I will, but...
Well, I'm just at the place now. If people don't like the way I look, they're just going to have to turn away.
Yeah. Okay.
And if they don't like to listen to me, they're going to have to walk away.
Yeah. Or hit mute. No, just walk away is better.
Well, I mean, if I'm recorded, that's easy. But if you're there with me, you're going to have to just go, golly, she doesn't look the way I wish she looked, and why don't she get some Botox? And what the hell's going on with her hair? All of that stuff, I don't give a tiny, tiny fig about.
A tiny fig?
Fig.
Did you know that there was there's a plantation in North Carolina that grows nothing but figs?
Oh, I would love to be there when it's fig season. I love figs. I'm creeped out by the whole wasp dying in the middle of the fig thing, but...
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
she gave me the funniest look, y'all.
I had to think about that.
That had been on video.
Yeah, my mind went blank for a second. It was what? Because you say wasp, and I don't think about the flying insect. I think about the West Asheville sports program.
You don't think about white Anglo-Saxon Protestants?
I sometimes will think that, but that was the same thing as the West Asheville sports program.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
At least back when I knew about it.
Were they all Presbyterians and Methodists? Probably.
There was some Episcopals. It was pretty wild, I was part of those people in the sports program, and my brother and dad we were all part of it. Every time there was a damn football game, we were there. Every time, and I do mean that most sincerely. And from the time I was a little girl, I was either working at the concession stand. I love that's probably my favorite thing to do.
Lordy.
Did you not? Have I never told you this?
You have. I just can't imagine.
You can't picture me working at the concession stand.
No, I just can't imagine that life. I never had nothing to do with anything like that.
It's just, baseball games. It was their hobby or our hobby as a family was my brothers would play sports.
Yeah.
And I would play some sports if I was allowed in, but I would never play just female sports because it wasn't as fun to me. I played with guys usually, and that's what I was used to. And so I wanted to play baseball and football. I wasn't allowed to play football, and I wasn't allowed to play, But so I did the best thing that I could. I just worked a concession stand. Here we go, photos. I'm going to find you a picture. Your friend here was a cheerleader one year.
I can't even imagine that.
I was so desperate to just hang out. I had a terrible crush on one of the football players, and it was my one. I'm not a person who goes around doing it. Well, maybe I am. I don't know, but I had a terrible crush on this one person, and it lasted for years and years and years. So this person played football, and I did whatever I could to be around. And I ended up ultimately getting on that darn, that cheerleader team. There's me, by the way.
Golly, look at you.
Burnt orange.
You're a little tiny baby. Oh.
I was a happy girl. That was the dance days when I would go to all these. Anytime I got a chance to, I would. And I would always be reminded that my Aunt Marie had never danced a day in her life.
Wow.
And that was just a they were so proud of that because she had never danced a day in her life. And there's some verse in the Bible, and their brand of religion kind of glommed onto that verse.
Oh.
And so there's a certain group of Baptists in the world that will not dance on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't tell you exactly. I can't actually tell you anything more than what I just did. I never understood it. I don't know why anybody would ever want to do that. Go through life and not dance and brag about it. But it was just not something that anybody did. And so I started out clogging.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I went on to square dancing. Did you clog?
I clogged and I square danced.
Did you buck dance?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did, and I loved it. I loved it so much.
Me too. A friend of mine, for her 60th birthday, I think, was at, oh golly, what was the bluegrass place downtown?
Bill Stanley's?
Bill Stanley's.
Yeah.
She had her birthday at Bill Stanley's. She had a
Wow.
cowboy birthday.
Well, that's cool.
And so, I got out my tequila drinking hat and went there and they called everybody come up for clogging. And I got up and my friend said, "You don't know how to clog." And I said, "I sure as hell do know how to clog." We got up there and clogging is exhausting. So I didn't clog very long, but I did. I clog danced.
Do you remember how you learned it or who taught it to you?
I think we learned it in the 4th grade.
Oh,
in
in
school.
class.
Yeah.
Wow. Toe, heel, toe, baby.
Yep.
You just flop your foot down is what I was, just flop your foot down. So.
Flop your foot.
That's what they said. I remember that
I
specifically.
do love that. Yeah.
That you just,
My feet can't do it no more though. My feet can't do that kind of stomping. I'm too delicate.
The last time I did it was at a Chamber of Commerce gathering, and everybody else would go there and drink. And of course, I would not, but they'd all be sitting there getting right. And because once a month they'd have these business meetings, and it was these were just networking things. And there was a gal there that was the administrator over the chamber, and she was from Robbinsville. We had a lot in common. Nice gal. And there was some bluegrass or something going on, and she said, "Leisha, come here." And next thing you know, she and I were arm in arm, and we were clogging away. And I thought later,
wow.
I'm a little heavy to be doing that.
Feels good though.
Oh, it did, and I don't regret it. I don't give a damn how I looked. It was fun, and she and I had a blast. And every time I saw her after that, she'd say, "Remember that time?
Remember that time?"
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I've got to go back and tell a joke, and then we can finally get off here.
Okay.
So you sparked this, and I've probably told this joke before, but why do those Baptists you were just talking about, why do they not have sex standing up? Because somebody might think they were dancing.
Oh. Wah, wah, wah.
Oh, that was terrible, wasn't it?
No.
Oof.
That was a good one. I don't think I've ever heard that one.
I don't have a lot of jokes. I feel like I'm funny, but I don't feel like I'm much of a joke person. I've got like 3 jokes that I remember.
Well, we're going to have to work on that if we're going to be in any of these comedy shows.
That's right. When we do our stand-up routine, we're going to have our 20-minute stand-up routine. We're going to be hilarious.
People are going to fall in the
They're
floor.
going to fall out. That's right.
Shit.
That's our next career once we write the cookbook and we cut the CD. And could we just please get the cards out?
Yeah. My mom is quite interested in the cookbook.
Oh, good.
She will contribute.
Good. That's good.
So we've already had several people who said they would. All right, y'all. It's time for us to wrap up because it's going to be dark. I'm going to turn it into
It's going to be dark. It's almost 8 o'clock and the sun is setting. We've got the golden hour now.
That's right. It's beautiful. So,
so bye, y'all. Bye. Bye. We love you.
Thank you for everything. We'll see you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.